crank out this deck tech. This is the deck I played in TNE 11. I kind of barely tuned it because of how well I was winning on the ladder. I think there's a few changes I'd probably make to it, but for now, let's just talk about the deck. I saw a lot of people were playing like Houndmaster and Skimmer and Darkwater Vines, but I prefer to just play good old Path Cutter and Arak. Do a fantastic job of bogging down the board, gives me some more flying attackers, and between Elding, Arak, Crafty, Wind, and like these guys, I can actually just fly over whatever dirtily stuff my opponent's doing and try and end the game. You know, that assumes we get the flying, the Volan Pale Rider, but we're going to be flickering Elding so many times that we should get there eventually. And the rest of them are pretty good beaters in themselves and should be able to attack into most board states. So that's kind of the idea of the deck. Whispering Wind, Crafty Occultist, Grenahen are our workhorses. These cards are absolutely busted and enable us to discard stuff and draw stuff and just cycle through Elding and send a message and like Path Cutter and stuff and just generate a ton of free value, free board presence. And in the case of Send a Message, it's like a 4-for-1, so pretty disgusting. Because of how strong Send a Message can be, oftentimes I will on purpose not play Grenahen until I have 2 power up, so basically turn 4. And that way I just have a better chance of just ripping my opponent with Send a Message as many times as I can in a game. That'll really do a good job of holding them back on board, picking apart, like, just running them out of gas in their hand. And hopefully our powerful guys can get through before they get out of that. For our market, we're playing a Vinegrafter market. It's kind of the only option we have because it gets hit by Grenahen. If we chose to play the spell, it would make my Grenahen targets go down, and we basically want to max out as much as we can on that. Vinegrafter is also solid in his own, being one of the only answers my deck has to Houndmaster. He also lets me power up a Rock or a Molder Muck, depending on what's going on. Black out the Skies, this is my answer for Windchest Valkyries. It's not as good as if they got the little 1/1s on the board, but sometimes you just need something super cheap to grab with Vinegrafter to get through, especially since my plan B is kind of attacking with flyers. So Black out the Skies can clear a flying blocker for basically 4 power, and that can be pretty solid. Purveyor, it's just a big threat we can slam down. We're not really looking to make Grenadin with it, but we can make a few. If you somehow have Purveyor down before you Junkyard, that'll make a few Grenadin. But we're really just grabbing this to give a flyer a ton of damage, and then just kill our opponent. Wyatt's Junkyard is insane value in this deck. Bring back our Araks, bring back Elding. If you've got 7 power, you can bring back Krulls and just trigger them and bring back Winds and stuff. Junkyard's insane, and then it continues to be insane every step of the way. Picking a card out of your opponent's hand, maybe killing a Whispering Wind with chemical rounds, popping like a Lord Styre's Tower, whatever. Like, this card is nuts. Every step of the way, your opponent needs to kill it, and then eventually you get Wyatt, and Wyatt will just take over the game with card draw. Usually the life damage isn't that much of a downside at all. It can be rough, but I haven't really lost because of it, so there's that. Fall to Ruin is just insane. You can use Purveyor to check and see how many units there are in the Void, because they did not deign to include that. I would honestly say just play Purveyor in any deck that you're playing a Vinegrafter market and Fall to Ruin. They usually both those decks will all fit together, and it also makes it a lot easier to check and see where your Fall to Ruin is at. Just some little tech. I wish Direwolf would fix this. If you're watching this, Direwolf, please fix this. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Obstructive Flicker lets us counter stuff like big like Shoal Stirrings coming down, big Life Before Life, or just random stuff. A lot of decks will at least have some sorcery for us to pop, and if they don't, we can deal damage to the board or something, and that's fine. It's also pretty solid against Valkyries if they've got a bunch of 1/1s and like Passionate Stonehammers and stuff. if anyone is playing any sort of token deck, this will hit them well too. So this card's super versatile. Grenahan can fetch it because it does 1 damage. So I definitely felt it was something I wanted access to. And I like it more than playing Exploit 3 or 4. Ice Bolt is just kind of a catch-all answer. Sometimes it can be rough giving our opponents power. I'm potentially thinking about cutting this for something else, but it was nice to have just a hard removal spell that Grenahan could fetch, and was cheap, and could also give my crafties flying if I didn't want it. So that was kind of that. Instead of Seek power, I'm playing Blueprints. My power is already pretty solid. I never really had issues, so this will sometimes give me gas later on. One of the key things about Elding is you can actually sacrifice a unit or a relic. So we're able to make use out of these relics, either by using them, which I've done once or twice, but more often we just sack them to Elding so we don't lose any board presence, and that could be pretty sick. And then early on, obviously, they just make our hands awesome. So Stone Scar Blueprints, Exploit, and Send a Message are only whiffs on Grenahan, so that puts us at 35 whiffs and 40 hits, which is insane. I'm trying to basically never whiff on Grenahan. And yeah, so that's the deck. It's pretty solid. I've been having a lot of fun with it on the ladder. Yeah, that's it.